Donald Trump has weaponized the Department of Immigration Customs Enforcement like the world has never seen before, believe me. But the agency better known as ICE is in shambles, and some whistleblowers are blowing up his facade of strength, and in this breaking news report, I'll share their stories. The delusional Trump likes to think of himself as the president of law and order, but in reality, he's the absolute opposite, as reported by Chris Hayes. Let's break down a segment he just did that destroys the Donald's mythology, and then I'll share the massive cracks that are showing in ICE.
Donald Trump, the president of these United States, wants to be a dictator. He is trying to be a dictator. He said it multiple times this week. Today, he explained why a lot of people, I think in his own head, think he should be a dictator. Because he's stopping all the crimes.
So the line is that I'm a dictator, but I stop crime. So a lot of people say, if that's the case, I'd rather have a dictator. But I'm not a dictator. I just know how to stop crime.
Ah, yes, Donald Trump, tough on crime. It just depends on who's doing the crime, doesn't it? Donald Trump is the most unabashedly pro-criminal, pro-crime president of my lifetime. In fact, I started compiling this list of all the people that Donald Trump has pardoned or come to the aid of just since taking office in January, and it is mind-boggling. On his first day in office, Donald Trump pardoned every last one of the January 6th insurrectionists who stormed the Capitol and attempted a coup against the U.S. government on his behalf. Roughly 1,500 convicted or suspected accused criminals. They included hundreds who were handed lengthy sentences for very serious felonies, such as assaulting police with deadly weapons. Many of those rioters have had, maybe you won't be shocked to hear this, serious brushes with the law since they were pardoned. Andrew Tate is one example. He used a metal whip and bear spray to assault police officers at the Capitol. He was sentenced to 6 years after bragging about these crimes to a woman on a dating app. Then on the second day of his presidency, Donald Trump pardoned Ross Ulbricht, founder of the Silk Road and online black market for drug dealing. The guy took hundreds of millions in commissions on sales of methamphetamine, cocaine, heroin, and other opioids. I mean, you could make a case he was the biggest drug dealer in American history. He was serving 2 life sentences without the possibility of parole when Donald Trump pardoned him unconditionally. On his third day in office, Trump pardoned Washington, D.C. police officer Tara Sutton and Lieutenant Andrew Zabowski. Sutton illegally chased a 20-year-old man on a moped for 10 blocks. He struck another car and died in the crash. The 2 officers then tried to cover up their role in his death. They were sentenced to hard time for obstructing justice. Trump pardoned them, falsely claiming the motorist they had killed was illegal. They have since been reinstated to the D.C. police force. Trump also pardoned former Illinois Governor Rod Blagojevich, convicted on 17 counts of corruption, including an attempt that we all remember and all heard to sell off Barack Obama's former Senate seat. Trump pardoned him using the former Democrat's criminal case as a way to discount the myriad investigations, indictments, and convictions that he faced.
The list that Chris Hayes shared is so long, I'm going to break it into 2 parts, and I'll share the rest at the end. Meanwhile, I want to get to my headline story about ICE that Trump doesn't want you to hear. It came to my attention via a Reuters article with the headline, Inside ICE. Trump's migrant crackdown is taking a toll on officers.
Under President Donald Trump, the Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency has become the driving force of his sweeping crackdown on migrants, bolstered by record funding and new latitude to conduct raids. But staff are contending with long hours and growing public outrage over the arrests. Those internal pressures are taking a toll. 2 current and 9 former ICE officials told Reuters the agency is grappling with burnout and frustration among personnel as agents struggle to keep pace with the administration's aggressive enforcement agenda. All of those interviewed by Reuters backed immigration enforcement in principle, but they criticized the Trump administration's push for high daily arrest quotas that have led to the detention of thousands of individuals with no criminal record, as well as long-term green card holders, others with legal visas, and even some U.S. citizens. Most of the current and former ICE officials requested anonymity due to concerns about retaliation against themselves or former colleagues. Americans have been inundated with images on social media of often masked agents in tactical gear handcuffing people on neighborhood streets, at work sites, outside schools, churches, and courthouses, and in their driveways. Videos of some arrests have gone viral, fueling public anger over the tactics. Under Trump, average daily arrests by the 21,000-strong agency have soared, up over 250% in June compared to a year earlier, although daily arrest rates dropped in July. Trump has said he wants to deport the worst of the worst, but ICE figures show a rise in non-criminals being picked up. Some ICE investigators are frustrated that hundreds of specialized ICE investigative agents who normally focus on serious crimes such as human trafficking and transnational gangs have been reassigned to routine immigration enforcement, two current and two former officials said. Another stress factor for more senior officials is the perpetual threat of being removed for failure to produce arrests, underscored by multiple changes of leadership at ICE since Trump took office in January, 5 of the ICE officials said.
Trump's immigration crusade has always been more about theater than law enforcement. He pretends to be tough on crime when in reality he's turning ICE into a strongman prop, and the result is chaos masquerading as order. And now we're hearing of burned out agents' stress and fear of being removed. The real tragedy is that Trump's obsession with optics has gutted ICE's original mission. Agents who should be focused on dismantling human trafficking networks and violent gangs are instead pulling parents out of carpool lines and separating families. It's a bait and switch that makes America less safe, not more. And it's one of the clearest examples of how Trump prioritizes his personal political brand over the well-being of the country. If anything, these insiders are exposing Trump's immigration folly, and it's collapsing under its own weight. Trump weaponized ICE, but in doing so, he broke it. And that failure will outlast his presidency, leaving scars on both the agencies and the communities it was supposed to protect. And as I promised, here's Chris Hayes to finish his list on the president of lawlessness and disorder.
He pardoned Brian Kelsey, a Republican former Tennessee state senator, a guy that was 2 weeks into a 21-month sentence for a campaign finance fraud when Trump pardoned him. He illegally funneled nearly $100,000 into a failed congressional campaign. In May, Trump pardoned Todd and Julie Chrisley, TV reality stars who were serving federal prison sentences for wire and bank fraud. The lavish lifestyle they flaunted on air was apparently bankrolled by fraudulent bank loans the couple hid from tax authorities. They were two of nearly 24 convicted fraudsters, thieves, and drug dealers Trump pardoned in May. Again, this is way beyond the pace of any president in my lifetime. He also pardoned Trevor Milton. He was the founder of an electric truck company. He was sentenced to federal prison for exaggerating the company's technology, up to and including a fake commercial in which they pushed an immobile model of the truck down a hill to make it look like it could really drive fast. Now, that is just a partial list of Trump's pardons and commutations since he took office 7 months ago. It's a wild list. It's unlike any list I've ever seen or ever covered.